I am obsessed with testing powder measures. In this video, we're going to take a look at the very latest bench powder measure from RCBS. It's called the Uniflow III. If you haven't get here from ultimatereloader.com, you've actually already seen the RCBS Uniflow III powder measure here on Ultimate Reloader. That Rebel Master Kit I unboxed and I've got set up in the micro cabin. I'm using that powder measure. I wanted to get a fresh one out of the box so that you could see exactly what's included if you order this particular powder measure. We're going to go over what's included. We're going to go over all of the changes for the Uniflow III, and then we're going to do some lab testing. So, of course, we've got the instruction sheet. I'm sure you all are going to read that, right, before you even get started. Okay, got the handle. We've got a mounting bracket. You can mount it to the press with that, as shown on this little picture right here. This is a rotating drum type powder measure. I've found that type of powder measure to work very well and to maximize consistency, which is obviously important when you're loading precision rifle ammo. Got a couple different drop funnels. We've got one that will work for 22, it looks like, one that's going to work for 30 cal and up, the lock ring. Okay. What's really important when you set up a powder measure is to remove all of the static, to remove all of the grease and any residual oils from the manufacturing process. And of course, I'm going to do all that before we get things going. I also have the stand that came with the master kit. I have modified this on my milling machine, cut a couple of notches in there so that I can use it with the Ultimate Reloader bench system. So let me get this powder measure cleaned up, and then I'll walk you through the assembly process, and then we'll throw some precision powder charges. So I took my time cleaning the powder measure. This is probably the most important step in order to ensure great results. There's a little rubber cork that holds the drum in the body casting. You're going to want to take the drum out, degrease the outside and the inside of the drum, degrease the inside of the funnel. The hopper just screws right into the base here, the main casting, and you're going to want to get that all apart, get all of the surfaces that the powder can touch completely degreased. I like to use acetone. It's a very hot solvent. It does a great job. You're going to want to get a rag or a swab, do an initial wipe down, and then take a clean dry rag to get any remaining residue off. And it really does pay to take your time here. If you get any grease or any manufacturing debris inside the powder measure, things are going to stick. You're going to get inconsistent charges. So I did a test fit of the drum. This goes together real easy. You're going to have your handle on whatever side you prefer. You've got the metering insert that goes inside, and then you're going to want to see that this little window here is facing the hole, the cutout. And if you look real closely, you can see it align. There's a little brass screw here that's going to hold the metering insert into the drum. There we go. Now we're going to want to take an 1/8 inch Allen key. I like to use both the T-handle type and the screwdriver type with the ball end. It's very, very handy. Let's get these screws kind of through the holes. Get them started with the ball end screwdriver type. And then we'll torque it down with the T-handle. Okay, so that is kind of the core assembly. We're going to screw in the hopper. Of course, the cap goes on top of that. That is the main assembly. We're going to be using the 30 cal drop tube. It kind of doesn't matter for this powder testing because we're just going to put it in a pan. But if you're going to use 22 or 6.5, something like that, you're going to want to grab this smaller drop tube. I'm not going to use the mount here. I'll also mention here we have the quick drain insert. Basically just rotate it halfway, remove the metering insert, put the quick drain in, and you can very quickly drain the measure. The other option is to just remove the lock nut and kind of dump the whole powder measure to invert it upside down. That's kind of the way I prefer to do it. Whatever works for you. So I've got my modified base here for the ultimate reloader bench system. I'm just going to torque that down. This uses 3/8 inch 16 bolts. Nice and solid. All right. So we can just drop this in now. With our lock ring down here. Now, I already told you about the degreasing process. I'm going to do one more thing. This is going to be an extra enhancement to keep powder from sticking inside. Actually, we got two things. We're going to use anti-static, and then I'm also going to use this dry neck lube. This is like powdered mica or something similar. I'm just going to take a very small amount on a precision screwdriver. We're going to dump that inside, and then we're going to kind of work that through with a little compressed air. We're not going to leave any large amounts in there. That's going to do two things. It's going to prevent powder from sticking to the internals, and it's also going to provide a little bit of lubrication between the drum and the housing. So that is super slick. You gotta love that. Okay, so I'm going to give it a quick wipe down with some anti-static wipes, and then we're going to get on to testing. For our scientific lab tests, we're going to start with a basic capacity test. We're going to fill up the hopper with a middle ground in terms of density powder, H4350, see how much the hopper is going to hold. Then we're going to use the secret weapon, the A&D EJ54 D2 lab scale from Cambridge Environmental. This scale can sense 0.003 of a grain, and that means it's a great tool to use to capture the kind of data we're going to be publishing with this video and article. So I'm going to use this basic cup. We'll fill that up after we fill the powder measure, the hopper. We'll see what kind of capacity we're going to run here with H4350. This is kind of a fill it to the top kind of thing here. And then this is my preferred method of emptying the powder measure, is to just remove the lock ring, and then we're going to dump this into our pan. Go to the other side so you can see the display there a little bit better. Okay. Get every last bit out of here. 0.595 pounds. It's a little over a half pound. Now that we've tested the capacity, it's time to move our attention to the really precise powder charge weight consistency testing. So the scale is all warmed up. We're ready to do our precision charge weight consistency testing. We're going to test 3 different powders. We've got H4350. That is a medium length stick powder. We've got Accurate MagPro. That's a ball powder. And then we've got a Magnum powder, H1000. These are the same powders I used in my last powder measure test. It'll be really interesting to see how the Uniflow III performs here. I've also got the EJ54 D2 connected to my laptop via USB. So what we're going to do each time here is we're going to dispense a charge. Now I already did a run up of about 20 charges here to get to steady state. We're going to get our value, and then I'm going to hit this print button here. That's going to record it in my spreadsheet. We're going to do 10 samples for each powder, and I'm going to attempt to do this the same exact way each time, the same rotational speed on the drum. Last one. So it looks like for H4350 we had a standard deviation of 0.19 grains and an extreme spread of 0.52 grains. Now on to accurate MagPro. For the MagPro, I did the same initialization procedure, filled the hopper and then dispensed 20 charges to make sure that everything was absolutely, unequivocally up to steady state. And so let's go ahead and grab our charges here. Last one. Wow. This is quite an impressive result. I expected the ball powder to meter more precisely, but this is outstanding. We've got a standard deviation of 0.05 of a grain, and we've got an extreme spread of 0.14. In my limited testing so far, this is the best result I've seen. Next, on to H1000. So just like with the other tests, I started with an empty hopper, I filled it with H1000, and I ran 20 test charges into my cup here. So things are up to steady state, and like with the other powders, we're gonna take 10 measurements, see where things land. Stabilize. So this is an interesting result. Both stick powders had the same standard deviation of 0.19 grains. The H1000 had an extreme spread of 0.64, where the H4350 had an extreme spread of 0.52. It's predictable that these stick powders are not going to measure as consistently as a ball powder like MagPro. What I didn't expect was MagPro to meter that outstandingly well. For all of the full data set, click on that first link in the video description. It'll take you over to the article where everything's broken down powder by powder. The RCBS Uniflow series has been around for a long time, and you might be wondering, what are the changes in the third iteration, the Uniflow III? Here they are. A new metering cylinder and screw design that allows the same metering insert to be used for both pistol and rifle charges. Laser engraved reference marks for easier viewing and adjusting of powder charges. A screw and hopper that's both secure and easy to remove and reinstall. Machined reference surfaces in the center slot for a tighter lockup. And the quick drain attachment is now standard equipment. All in all, I really like the improvements that RCBS made for the Uniflow III, and if you're interested in more coverage of this powder measure, you're going to want to check out all of those videos, both the RCBS Rebel Master Kit plus the videos where I'm loading up in the micro cabin where I'm using this very specific powder measure. I would highly recommend the stand. This is a really nice stand because it's really tall. Regardless of what kind of cartridges you're charging, you're going to be able to get your tray right under there and dispense the charges. The consistency was outstanding, especially with ball powders. Guys, if you want really good metering, try a powder like Stayball 6.5 from Winchester. It's another flattened ball powder that's going to meter probably about like what we saw with accurate MagPro. Again, if you want more details on the powder measure, click on that first link in the video description. I think that about wraps up this video. That means it's time for the outro. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe with notifications because you're not going to want to miss the content I've got coming up. Also, links down in the video description. I'm on Patreon and I've got Ultimate Reloader shirts at the Ultimate Reloader store. Any support that you show is most appreciated. Thank you again for watching. Until next time, happy shooting and happy reloading.